The crystalline spires of the Lyrian High Council chamber sparkled in the light of 3 setting suns as Ambassador Zara Kith received her final briefing. Her violet eyes, characteristic of her species, reflected the holographic display showing Earth's defensive capabilities, or lack thereof. The human planet hung in the air between her and first speaker Naira, beautiful but vulnerable. The Nexar Empire will reach their system within 6 months. Naira's voice carried the weight of centuries. Earth must be ready, or they will fall like so many others. Zara touched the biosynthetic mesh beneath her formal robes, the technology that would reshape her body to appear human. And we're certain they can't know about the Nexar threat. That I must maintain cover? Absolutely certain. Naira's expression hardened. The humans must prove themselves worthy of Galactic alliance on their own terms. Your mission is to guide them subtly, ensure they make the right choices, but never reveal the true threat until they're ready. 20 hours later, Zara emerged from her transformation chamber looking entirely human. Olive skin, dark hair, brown eyes. Only the small crystal beneath her collarbone remained unchanged, hidden beneath her clothes. The device would maintain her human form and allow emergency contact with the Lyrian fleet if necessary. The United Earth Defense Force headquarters in Geneva sprawled across the former CERN complex, a maze of old particle accelerator tunnels converted into the planet's most advanced military research facility. Zara approached the security checkpoint with practiced confidence, her carefully crafted credentials identifying her as Dr. Sarah Keith, quantum computing specialist from Stanford University. "Retinal scan, please," the guard requested, professional but not unkind. Zara silently thanked the Lyrian bioengineers who had ensured her artificial eyes would pass such scrutiny. The scanner flashed green. Captain James Chen was waiting for her in the lobby, his uniform crisp despite the late hour. "Dr. Keith, welcome to UEDF. I've been looking forward to meeting you since reading your paper on quantum entanglement applications in defense systems. A paper that had been carefully crafted and uploaded to human databases 3 months ago, along with an entire false academic history." Zara smiled, extending her hand in the human greeting she had practiced. "Please, call me Sarah. Your work on adaptive AI defense networks is equally impressive." As they walked through the facility, James explained the recent series of anomalies that had brought her here. "We've been detecting unusual quantum fluctuations in our global defense grid, brief moments where entire sections seem to shift slightly out of phase with reality. It's like nothing we've ever seen." Zara knew exactly what it was. Nexar scout ships testing Earth's defenses, looking for weaknesses. But she couldn't say that. Instead, she asked questions, probing to see how close humans were to understanding the true nature of the threat. The lab they entered was a testament to human ingenuity. Despite their technological limitations, they had already begun exploring principles that approached Lyrian basic science. Holographic displays showed the global network of quantum-linked defense satellites, a system that would be humanity's first line of defense against the coming invasion, if it could be properly upgraded in time. "The strange thing is," James continued, pulling up data streams, "these fluctuations seem to follow a pattern, almost like they're testing for something specific." Zara finished. Their eyes met, and she saw in him the sharp intelligence that had drawn her to choose this facility for her mission. "Show me the pattern analysis." For the next several hours, they dove deep into the data. Zara carefully planted seeds of insight, asking questions that would lead James and his team toward the innovations they would need. She had to walk a delicate line, helping them advance without making it obvious she possessed knowledge beyond Earth's current capabilities. As midnight approached, James finally called a break. They stood by the facility's floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out over Lake Geneva. The lights of the city reflected off the water, reminding Zara painfully of home. "You know what's strange?" James said quietly. "These anomalies, they started right around the time we launched the quantum defense grid. It's almost like something out there noticed we'd made a technological leap. Zara's heart raced. He was closer to the truth than she had expected. What are you suggesting? I don't know. He shook his head. Probably just late-night paranoia. But sometimes I look up at the stars and wonder if we're really alone out here, if we're ready for what we might find. She studied his profile in the darkness, weighing her words carefully. Maybe the real question isn't if we're alone, she said finally. Maybe it's whether we're ready to face whatever answers we find. 3 weeks into her mission at UEDF, Zara found herself spending more time in the facility's archives than the quantum labs. The string of defense grid anomalies had evolved into something more troubling: systematic failures in key military installations worldwide. She knew the Nexar Empire's tactics well enough to recognize their fingerprints, but proving it without revealing her knowledge was becoming increasingly challenging. Another one, James announced, striding into their shared office space. Dark circles under his eyes suggested he'd been up all night. Singapore's coastal defense array went dark for 12 minutes at 300 hours. No explanation, no warning, just nothing. Zara looked up from her terminal, where she'd been analyzing patterns in the failures. Let me guess, all backup systems failed simultaneously. How did you know? James dropped into his chair, running a hand through his disheveled hair. That's not in any of the preliminary reports. Because it's standard Nexar protocol, she thought. Instead, she pulled up a map on the main display. Look at the pattern. Every failure has affected redundant systems. That's not random. It's too precise. James studied the global display, red dots marking each incident. You think these are attacks. But who has this kind of capability? And why test our defenses without following through? Before Zara could respond, Dr. Maya Santos burst into the office. The head of UEDF's cybersecurity division usually maintained rigid composure, but now her hands shook as she clutched a tablet. You need to see this. Now. James turned to look at her, and for a moment Zara feared she had said too much. But he just smiled. That's why I'm glad you're here, Sarah. We need people who ask the right questions. As she walked to her temporary quarters that night, Zara sent a coded burst transmission to the Lyrian fleet hiding behind Saturn. The humans were more perceptive than expected. The timeline might need to be accelerated. The Nexar Empire was coming, and Earth's greatest trial was about to begin. The data she showed them made Zora's blood run cold. Hidden in the quantum noise of each system failure was a subtle signal, a transmission burst aimed at a point just beyond Mars' orbit, exactly where a Nexar advanced scout ship would hide. It's like they're reporting back, Maya said, her voice tight. But to whom? And how did they get access to our most secure facilities in the first place? Sleeper agents, James said quietly. Both women turned to look at him. It's the only explanation that fits. Someone, or something, has placed infiltrators in our key installations. The failures aren't tests. They're proof of concept demonstrations. Zara felt a surge of pride at his intuition, followed quickly by fear. The humans were putting it together faster than expected. The Nexar Empire's strategy relied on their targets remaining ignorant until it was too late. We need to quietly investigate personnel at each affected facility, she suggested, careful to maintain her cover. Looking for anyone whoa. A deafening alarm cut her off. Red emergency lights began pulsing throughout the complex. Breach in Sector 7, the automated system announced. Unknown energy signature detected. Security teams respond immediately. James was already moving. That's the quantum core. Come on. They ran through the corridors, joining the stream of security personnel converging on the facility's heart. The massive door to the quantum core chamber was sealed, but strange light pulsed around its edges, a sickly green glow that made Zora's true form ripple beneath her human disguise. Nexar phase technology, she whispered, too quietly for anyone to hear. They were making their moves sooner than expected. The security team's override codes finally opened the door. Inside, they found Dr. Victor Rossi, one of the Core's lead scientists. standing before the quantum processor array. His hands moved across the controls with inhuman speed, and his eyes glowed with the same green light that filled the room. "Step away from the console," James ordered, drawing his sidearm. "Dr. Rossi, stand down." The thing wearing Rossi's face turned, and its smile was nothing human. "Captain Chen." "Dr. Keith, how unfortunate you arrived so quickly. We had hoped to complete the download before discovery." "We?" Maya's voice shook. "What are you?" "The future," not Rossi said. "Or perhaps the end of one. Your species showed such promising development with quantum technology. The Empire couldn't risk letting you advance further." The Empire. Zara's heart nearly stopped. The sleeper agent was about to expose everything. She had to act, had to stop it, but revealing herself now would doom her mission. James solved her dilemma by firing his weapon. The pulse of energy passed harmlessly through Rossi's partially phased form, but it disrupted whatever process he had initiated. The quantum core's displays flickered and died. The creature snarled, its human disguise beginning to slip. Beneath Rossi's features, something angular and metallic gleamed. "A pity. We'll have to do this the less elegant way." It raised its hand, green energy gathering around its fingers. Zara knew what was coming. A Nexer phase blast that would tear through human bodies like paper. Without thinking, she threw herself forward, tackling James and Maya to the ground as the energy burst past overhead. "Sarah." James tried to push her off, to return fire, but she held him down as another blast crackled through the air where his head had been. The security team opened fire, their bullets passing harmlessly through the increasingly insubstantial form of the Nexer agent. It laughed, a sound like grinding metal, and began to fade from view. "The Empire sends its regards," it said. "Enjoy your final months of freedom, humans. We'll meet again when the fleet arrives." Then it was gone, leaving behind only the acrid smell of ozone and a room full of terrified people. "What the hell was that?" Maya's voice shook as they picked themselves up. "James, what did we just see?" But the captain was staring at Zara, his expression unreadable. "You knew exactly when it would fire," he said quietly. "You moved before it raised its hand." "How?" Zara's mind raced. This was all wrong. Too fast, too soon. But she could work with it. Had to work with it. "Because I seen weapons like that before," she said carefully. "Captain, Dr. Santos, I haven't been entirely honest with you." "No kidding." James's hand hadn't moved from his weapon. "Start talking, Dr. Keith. Who are you really? What was that thing? And what did it mean about a fleet?" Zara took a deep breath. "I'm here to help you," she said, "but the full truth is going to be difficult to accept. Perhaps we should move this conversation somewhere more private. What I have to tell you will change everything you think you know about humanity's place in the galaxy." James studied her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "My office. Now. And Sarah, or whatever your name is, if you make any sudden moves." "I understand," she said quietly. As they walked, she sent another coded burst to the Lyrian fleet. The timeline wasn't just accelerated now. It had completely collapsed. Earth needed to know the truth, ready or not. She just hoped they could handle it. James's office felt smaller than usual as Zara faced him and Maya across his desk. The quantum core incident had triggered a facility-wide lockdown, giving them temporary privacy, but she could hear security teams sweeping the building, searching for any trace of the creature that had worn Dr. Rossi's face. "Start from the beginning," James said, his voice carefully controlled. "No more half-truths." Zara touched the crystal beneath her collarbone, and for the first time since arriving on Earth, she let her human disguise fade. The transformation rippled across her body like water, revealing her true form, tall and elegant, with violet eyes and silvery skin that seemed to shimmer in the office's harsh lighting. Maya gasped, stumbling backward. James's hand moved to his weapon but didn't draw it. His eyes were wide, but his voice remained steady. "Well, that explains a few things. My name is Zara Kith," she said, her voice carrying its natural harmonic undertone. "I am an ambassador of the Lyrian Confederation, sent here to help prepare Earth for what's coming. The being you saw in the quantum core was a Nexer infiltrator, part of an advance force preceding their invasion fleet." "Invasion fleet," Maya whispered. She had backed against the wall but seemed to be recovering from her initial shock. "That thing said we had months." "4 months, 3 days by your calendar," Zara confirmed. "The Nexer Empire has conquered 12 civilizations in the past century. They target emerging quantum-capable worlds, infiltrate their defense systems, then strike when the planet is most vulnerable." James leaned forward. "And your people? These Lyrians, where do you fit into this?" "We're part of a galactic alliance that opposes Nexer expansion. We've helped other worlds resist them, but..." She hesitated. "My mission here was controversial. Some believe humans weren't ready for contact, that revealing ourselves would do more harm than good." "So you came in disguise?" James's tone was neutral. "To do what exactly?" "To guide your quantum defense development. To help you advance just enough to stand a chance." Zara spread her hands. "The Lyrian fleet is hiding in your solar system, ready to help, but we needed to know if humanity could handle the truth. If you were ready to join the larger galactic community." "Ready?" Maya pushed away from the wall, anger overcoming her fear. "That thing just tried to sabotage our most advanced defense system. People could have died. How many other Nexer agents are hidden among us?" Before Zara could answer, James's secure terminal chimed. His face paled as he read the message. "Worldwide reports coming in. Similar incidents at quantum research facilities in Beijing, Moscow, New Delhi. My God, they're all happening simultaneously." Zara's heart sank. "The sleeper agents are activated. They know we discovered them." She touched her crystal again, sending an urgent signal to the Lyrian fleet. "The Nexer never waste an advantage. They'll accelerate their invasion timeline now." "How long?" James demanded. "Days. Maybe hours." She met his gaze. "Captain, I know I deceived you. But right now Earth needs to mobilize every defense it has. The Nexer ships will target your quantum facilities first, then your conventional military bases. Once they control your orbital space, they'll begin planetary bombardment." James studied her for a long moment, then touched his comm unit. "This is Captain Chen. I need an immediate secure line to the UEDF Security Council. Priority Alpha 1. Maya stared at him. "James, you can't seriously trust." "Look at the reports, Maya. Look at what that thing did to Rossi. We're already at war. We just didn't know it until now." He turned to Zara. "I'm going to give you a chance to tell the Security Council everything you just told us. But if you're lying, if this is some kind of trick..." "It's not." Zora let her human disguise reassert itself. "And there's more you need to know. The Lyrians aren't just hiding in your solar system. We've been positioning quantum enhancement modules near your major defense installations. With your permission, we can activate them, giving your weapons a fighting chance against Nexer phase technology." The room's main display screen lit up, showing the grim faces of the UEDF Security Council. James took a deep breath. "Counselors, we have a situation. What I'm about to show you will seem impossible, but Earth's survival depends on the next few minutes." Zara stepped into view of the camera. "Honored leaders of Earth, I am Ambassador Zara Keith of the Lyrian Confederation. I apologize for the deception, but time is critical. The Nexer Empire is coming, and we need to act now." She let her disguise fade again, watching their faces move from shock to disbelief to dawning horror as she explained the situation. When she finished, the council chamber was silent for a long moment. "The timing of these attacks confirms much of what the ambassador claims," General Rivera said finally, "and our deep space arrays are detecting anomalies near Mars, movement that shouldn't be possible. The Nexer fleet, dropping out of phase space, Zara explained. They're coming sooner than we expected. You have a choice to make, and quickly. Accept Lyrian help or face the Nexer alone. Another silence. Then Council President Chen, James's mother, Zara realized with surprise, leaned forward. Ambassador Keith, you deceived us, infiltrated our facilities, kept vital information secret. Why should we trust you now? Because I'm still here, Zara said simply. I could have fled when the Nexer agent exposed itself. Instead, I saved your people. I'm offering you the truth now, and a chance to survive what's coming. The Nexer Empire believes humanity is weak, divided, easily conquered. Help me prove them wrong. President Chen's eyes flickered to her son. Captain, your assessment. James straightened. The ambassador's actions, while deceptive, have been consistently aimed at protecting Earth. I believe she's telling the truth, and frankly, given what we've seen today, I don't think we can afford not to trust her. Alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Maya's tablet lit up with alerts. Multiple contacts entering Earth orbit. Energy signatures matching what we saw in the quantum core. The Nexer advance fleet, Zora said grimly. Counselors, we're out of time. The next few hours will determine humanity's future. What's your decision? President Chen exchanged looks with her fellow council members. One by one, they nodded. Ambassador Keith, the UEDF formally accepts Lyrian assistance. God help us all. Zara touched her crystal, sending the signal to activate the Lyrian enhancement modules. Across the planet, human defense systems began to hum with new power. Thank you, counselors. Now, let me show you what humanity and Lyria can accomplish together. The UEDF command center had transformed into a hub of frantic activity. Holographic displays showed the approaching Nexer vessels, 7 warships in attack formation, their phase-shifted hulls appearing as ghostly shadows on Earth's sensors. Thanks to the Lyrian enhancement modules, those sensors could now track them, but stopping them would be another matter entirely. Lyrian fleet is emerging from hiding, Maya announced, her earlier distrust temporarily set aside in the face of crisis. 5 vessels, moving to intercept. Zara studied the tactical display, her true form now revealed for all to see. Some of the UEDF staff still stared, but most were too focused on their duties to pay attention to the alien in their midst. The Nexer will expect an easy victory, she said. They don't know about our preparations. We can use that. James nodded, coordinating with defense stations worldwide. All enhanced quantum artillery installations are online. Orbital defense platforms report successful integration with Lyrian targeting systems. We're as ready as we can be. The first shots came without warning. Green energy lanced from the Nexer ships, aimed at Earth's major defense installations, but instead of passing through the quantum shields as planned, their attacks splashed harmlessly against enhanced barriers. They're confused. Zara allowed herself a small smile. This isn't going according to their tactical simulations. The Lyrian fleet struck first, their sleek silver ships moving with impossible grace. Advanced energy weapons tore through space, forcing the Nexer vessels to fully materialize to defend themselves. The moment they became solid, Earth's defense platforms opened fire. Direct hits. Maya's voice was triumphant. 2 Nexer ships showing significant damage. But the enemy recovered quickly. The remaining ships split into attack groups, their tactical AI adapting to the unexpected resistance. One group engaged the Lyrian fleet while the others began systematic attacks on Earth's defense grid. They're targeting the enhancement modules, Zara realized. If they can knock those out, our weapons will be useless against their phase technology. Not going to happen, James said grimly. He opened a channel to all Earth defense stations. This is Captain Chen. Coordinate with your local Lyrian tactical advisors. Prioritize protection of enhancement modules. Authorization granted for deployment of last resort weapons. Zara turned to him sharply. Last resort weapons. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. We might not have phase technology, but humans are very good at finding creative ways to break things. Maya, initiate Protocol Omega. Maya's fingers flew across her console. Across the planet, hidden silos opened. What emerged made Zora's eyes widen. Crude but effective projectile weapons, massive railguns firing shells filled with experimental quantum disruption particles. We reversed engineered some principles from studying the anomalies in our defense grid, James explained. Not elegant, but the first salvo cut him off. Massive shells accelerated to near-relativistic speeds, their quantum payloads designed to force phase-shifted matter into normal space. 3 found their mark on a Nexar vessel attempting to destroy a South American defense installation. The effect was spectacular. Forced to fully materialize, the Nexar ship's shields failed under concentrated fire from orbital platforms. It broke apart in a cascade of secondary explosions. Impressive, Zora breathed. You developed this countermeasure just from studying their probe attacks. Humans are full of surprises, Maya said proudly. Then her expression changed. Multiple new contacts. Massive phase space distortions detected. The tactical display lit up with new signals. Dozens of ships, then hundreds, emerging from faster-than-light travel. Zora's heart sank. The main Nexar fleet. They must have accelerated their timeline when they lost contact with their advance force. The command center fell silent as the scale of the threat became clear. Earth's defenses, even enhanced by Lyrian technology, couldn't hope to stop such overwhelming numbers. But James was smiling. Good thing we're not alone then. New signatures appeared on the display. Ships emerging from behind Earth's moon, from the shadow of Mars, from the asteroid belt. The full Lyrian battle fleet, hundreds of vessels strong, led by a massive dreadnought that dwarfed everything else in the system. You didn't think we'd commit our entire force to this system without being ready for full-scale war, did you? Zora asked, unable to keep pride from her voice. Humanity proved itself worthy of alliance the moment you chose to trust us. The Lyrian Confederation protects its allies. The space around Earth erupted in battle. Nexar ships, forced to abandon their phase advantage by Earth's crude but effective countermeasures, found themselves caught between enhanced human defenses and superior Lyrian technology. The battle was far from one-sided. Nexar weapons claimed their toll on both human and Lyrian forces, but the element of surprise was lost, and with it, their primary tactical advantage. Multiple Nexar vessels retreating. Maya reported hours later, her voice hoarse from providing continuous updates. They're falling back to regroup. No, Zora corrected, studying the tactical display. They're not retreating. Look at their formation. They're preparing for a final push. Everything they have, straight at Earth's primary defense grid. James straightened. They think if they can overwhelm our quantum-enhanced defenses, they can still win through sheer numbers. Then we don't let them. Zora opened a channel to the Lyrian flagship. High Command, this is Ambassador Kith, requesting permission to implement Protocol Sunforge. There was a pause, then a response in the musical tones of Lyrian language. Zora turned to James. Captain, I need command access to every quantum installation on the planet. What I'm about to propose is risky, but it might be our only chance to end this decisively. James studied her for a moment, then nodded. You've earned our trust, Ambassador. Maya, give her full access. Zora's fingers danced across the console, interfacing Lyrian command protocols with Earth's defense grid. What do you know about quantum entanglement cascades, Captain? Theoretical physics. The idea that, his eyes widened, you want to link every enhanced defense installation into a single quantum network, along with every Lyrian ship in range, she confirmed. One massive, synchronized strike. The energy release will be enormous. But if we time it perfectly. Do it, James said without hesitation. Maya, send word to all installations. Prepare for synchronized quantum strike on the Ambassador's mark. As they worked to coordinate the most ambitious military maneuver in Earth's history, Zura allowed herself to feel a moment of pure joy. This was why she had chosen this mission, why she had believed in humanity's potential. In their darkest hour, they hadn't retreated into fear or suspicion. They had reached for the stars and found they weren't alone. The Nexer fleet began its final approach. Every remaining ship committed to one desperate attack. Above Earth, human and Lyrian forces stood ready, their weapons linked in ways never before attempted. Time seemed to slow in the UEDF command center as hundreds of weapons systems synchronized across Earth and space. The Nexer fleet approached like an oncoming storm, their ships moving in perfect formation, a testament to their absolute confidence in superior numbers and technology. Quantum synchronization at 98%, Maya reported, her voice steady despite the tension. All human and Lyrian units report ready. Zara watched the tactical display, calculating vectors and energy patterns in her head. They would have one chance at this. If the timing was off by even a microsecond, the quantum cascade could tear apart their own defenses instead of the enemy fleet. 30 seconds to optimal firing position, James announced. He turned to Zara. Ambassador, Zara, whatever happens, I want you to know that Earth won't forget what you and your people did for us today. She met his gaze, seeing in his eyes the same determination she'd first noticed when choosing this facility for her mission. What we did together, Captain. The Nexer Empire never understood that true strength comes from unity, not conquest. The enemy fleet entered final attack range. Green energy began building around their forward weapons arrays, enough firepower to overwhelm even enhanced quantum shields through sheer volume of fire. All units, Zora's voice carried across every human and Lyrian communication channel. Commence quantum cascade on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Fire. The largest coordinated energy discharge in Earth's history erupted from the planet's surface. Every quantum installation, every orbital platform, every Lyrian warship fired simultaneously. But instead of individual beams, their weapons linked through quantum entanglement, combining into something new, a wave of pure energy that rippled through space-time itself. The Nexer fleet's phase technology worked against them. As the quantum cascade struck their partially shifted vessels, it forced them to exist in multiple states simultaneously. Ships began to tear themselves apart, their own advanced technology becoming their undoing. Energy readings off the scale. Maya's hands flew across her console. The cascade is exceeding predicted parameters. It's working. James leaned forward, watching as Nexer vessels began to break apart. Their fleet is. He never finished the sentence. The quantum cascade, more powerful than even Lyrian scientists had predicted, created a feedback loop in the enhancement modules. Alarms blared throughout the command center as systems began to overload. The modules are failing, Zara realized with horror. The energy discharge is too much for them to contain. If they detonate, the explosion would devastate Earth's surface. Maya finished. We have to shut it down. No time. Zara's mind raced. But we can redirect it. Her fingers danced across the console, interfacing with Lyrian command protocols. Captain, I need control of all remaining orbital platforms. James didn't hesitate. Granted. Do what you have to do. Zara began reprogramming the platforms, turning them into massive energy conductors. If she could create a channel for the excess power, directed away from Earth. The Lyrian flagship recognized her plan. It moved into position, its advanced systems ready to help channel the energy into deep space. Other Lyrian vessels followed suit, forming a chain leading away from Earth. Energy redirection initiated, Maya reported. But the Lyrian ships, the stress on their systems. They know the risk, Zara said quietly. Just like I did when I came to Earth. Sometimes protecting others means being willing to sacrifice everything. The quantum cascade reached its peak. Through the command center's windows, they could see the sky itself seeming to ripple as reality buckled under the strain. The Nexer fleet was in ruins, their ships either destroyed or fleeing in disarray. But the chain of Lyrian vessels glowed with dangerous intensity as they struggled to contain and redirect the excess energy. Lyrian flagship reporting critical system failure. Maya's voice cracked. They can't hold it much longer. Zara closed her eyes, sending a final command through her crystal. Every Lyrian ship in the energy channel activated their phase drives simultaneously, creating a tunnel of shifted space. The quantum cascade energy followed the path of least resistance, shooting harmlessly into deep space through their artificial corridor. The light show was spectacular. For several minutes, Earth's sky blazed with colors humans had never seen before. When it finally faded, the remaining Nexer ships had fled. Nearly a third of the Lyrian fleet was damaged or destroyed, but Earth was safe. In the command center, exhausted crews began to cheer. James pulled Maya into a tight hug, both of them laughing with relief. But Zara stood quietly, watching the tactical display as it showed the full cost of victory. "Your people sacrificed so much," James said softly, coming to stand beside her. "How can we ever repay that?" "By helping us build something better," she replied. "The Nexer Empire's defeat here will shake the galaxy's power structure. Other worlds will see that cooperation is stronger than conquest, that humanity is a force to be reckoned with. And what about you?" There was something in his voice that made her turn to look at him. "Will you return to the Lyrian Confederation now that your mission is complete?" Zara smiled, letting her human disguise shimmer back into place, not because she needed to hide anymore, but because this form had become part of who she was. "Actually, Captain, I was hoping to discuss a permanent diplomatic posting. Earth will need representation in the galactic community, and I've grown rather fond of this planet. I think that can be arranged." James grinned. "Though the paperwork for an alien ambassador might be interesting." Speaking of paperwork, Maya interrupted, her professional composure returning. "The Security Council is requesting a full briefing, and about 50 world leaders are demanding to speak with our Lyrian allies." "Back to work then." Zara straightened. "Earth's introduction to the galactic community is just beginning. We have a lot to teach each other." As they walked to the briefing room, Zara reflected on how far they'd all come. She had arrived on Earth expecting to find a primitive species in need of subtle guidance. Instead, she had discovered partners worthy of trust, capable of facing impossible odds with courage and innovation. The Nexer Empire had believed humanity would be an easy conquest. Instead, they had helped forge an alliance that would reshape the galaxy. And for Zara Kith, who had risked everything on her belief in human potential, it was only the beginning of an even greater adventure. High above, the first rays of dawn painted the sky in brilliant colors. It was a new day for Earth, and for the first time, its people knew with certainty that they were not alone in the universe. More importantly, they knew they were ready for whatever the cosmos might bring next.